Hello everyone, I hope you're doing well today. In this video, I wanted to discuss balance when it comes to Star Citizen, more specifically why Star Citizen shouldn't be a balanced game. Now, whilst this video will be opinionated, I will try and stay as objective as possible across the board. If you agree or disagree with me, I would love to hear your thoughts down below. Other than that, if you are enjoying the videos, feel free to subscribe. I have channel memberships open if you want to go the extra mile, and feel free to join the community Discord. I would love to have you there. Outside of that, let's get into balance and Star Citizen. Now, this topic really came to my mind after my brother and I attended the Austin Bar Citizen, and I got the chance to talk to someone about balancing in Star Citizen for a little bit. And since then, it just had me thinking a ton about the balance in Star Citizen. Now, first things first, when I say I think Star Citizen shouldn't be a balanced game, I don't mean they should just not balance certain things within the game. Some things need to be tuned so that they are in line with their intended role or purpose, and there is a ton of that within the game right now. When I refer to the balance of the game as a whole, though, I'm referring to the overall experience rather than the individual items and ships within the game. In some ways, I don't think Star Citizen should be a fair game. Now, that doesn't mean it should be brutally unfair, similar to how it is now, but there should be an emphasis on offering different dynamics between ships, players, items, and NPCs. Now, before we get into a little bit more about what I'm talking about here, I want to give an example that might help clear the image as to what I'm saying. The Volt weapons in this game are pretty solid across the line. They've been introduced pretty recently, they do some pretty significant damage, and they offer some really cool and powerful bonuses as they heat up. Though, if you do bring Volt weapons to a really hot environment, a moon, or a planet, they become far less practical and sometimes become an outright pain to use. This type of environment might emphasize the use of ballistic weapons or just generally weapons that don't fluctuate their performance based on temperature. These types of environments create a more natural balance within the game, without having to simply nerf those items into the ground. The best part is, though, is that if you wanted to take advantage of this fluctuating temperature mechanic, you can go to colder environments and bring those volt weapons, and at that point, you actually are benefiting from the temperature of the planet. You're now going to overheat a lot slower and generally get a lot more damage out a lot quicker. This is the type of thing that I really do appreciate in games because rather than, again, simply nerfing these things to the ground so that they're on a level playing field, you get the option to actually make decisions that will inevitably help you or hurt you a little bit more in the long run. It's not necessarily about making players suffer because they made the wrong choice or anything like that, but it's offering you more reward for being prepared and bringing the right things to different dynamics and situations. Now, of course, I also think that there should be some overall decent baseline items across the game. There should be weapons that are generally decent to use in most situations, and there should be ships as well. But for the most part, I think promoting players to use different weapons and tools that will benefit them in different areas of the game is a much better model than just making everything feel the same. Currently, that is kind of just how the game is. Of course, with the Volt weapons, we're kind of seeing that different mechanic where you can bring it into different situations, and depending on the environment, of course, it might, worsen your experience with that weapon or benefit you a significant amount. Now, before we get into kind of the ship balance side of that, because that is a whole different can of worms, I think we should also talk about a situation in the game currently where you can kind of tell the balance is out of whack, which kind of leads to different metas and frustrations. And that really comes with the armor system currently. You can see it very clearly, but there is a meta for heavy armors. You see most orgs, most PvP and PvE players wearing them, and it's very clear why. It's because they are a very good baseline, and they really are good across the board. You can fly perfectly fine in them, you can run around in them perfectly fine. Honestly, there's not a ton of disadvantages to wearing heavy armors, but generally speaking, there should be reasons to not wear those armors. The good news is that the updated armor system Starware is going to help with this a lot. By giving all armor stats and disadvantages and benefits in certain situations, rather than there just being one armor that is good across the board, you're going to have a bunch of different specific armors that are more kind of suited for the different type of gameplay you want to participate in. This is something I'm super excited for because it gets it more in line kind of with how the Volt weapons are right now, where in different situations you're going to have a really solid weapon, and then in other situations you're going to be at a disadvantage. Same should go with armor and as well alongside that, ships. Now, ship balancing, I'm sure, is hell for a couple reasons. The first one is probably just simply because we don't have features and systems that are needed to properly balance these ships out. Things like flight control services, the updated flight model, the updated damage system, maelstrom engineering, the armor penetration. There are so many things that are going to change the way ships fly and take damage that I'm sure that balancing them right now is probably going to be useless for the future. Now, of course, I think CIG should still work with what they have and make sure that the current game in its current state is still decently playable and not completely unfair. But I think there's also a little bit of truth to that unfairness that we kind of experience now. I think when you do approach a situation and you happen to find a Hornet Mark II or F8C player, you should be somewhat nervous because those are solid fighter ships and they should be really good at dogfighting. But just because these ships are good at dogfighting doesn't mean they should be nearly as good in other sectors of the game. In fact, I think they should have some pretty significant disadvantages. Some things I can think of off the top of my head are just having limited fuel storage, so refueling is a lot more frequent. It's expensive, and you really have to plan out where you're going to go, or you might just run out of fuel in the middle of nowhere. The inability for you to really hover in place at all. I know with flight control services, it's already kind of planned, but maybe for medium and heavier fighters, it's just a lot more difficult, if not impossible. Smaller things like that that seriously give you the disadvantage in some of those other situations, but still allow you to excel at dogfighting, make it where it's balanced, but still a scary opponent in a lot of those situations. And there's also balancing that can be done outside of the ship as well. Insurance costs for heavier combat ships could be a lot higher because it's a combat ship. It's likely to get destroyed in some sort of fight. And generally, it has a lot of power, so insurance should be up on it. As well as the possibility that if you do lose the ship, it's going to be difficult to get back, or upgrading those ships is a lot more difficult to obtain. It's things like that that allow players to really consider what they bring out into a fight rather than just constantly bringing out the best fighters over and over and over so that it's very difficult for other players to really go against you. I really do think the name of the game is just trade offs and benefits. I think it's really important that CIG focuses on this rather than the individual balancing of items that we see in a lot of games nowadays. Again, this doesn't mean that individual items don't need balancing. Once again, I think that's important just to tune things and make sure they are in line with what they're supposed to be. But I think for the most part, once again, I think the balancing of Star Citizen as a whole should lean more on the player's side of making smart and intelligent decisions for their own gameplay, rather than making everything in the game feel the same and just not nearly as important as it could be. Once again, this is very opinionated, but I would love to hear your thoughts on this. Generally, I think that this style of balancing would really benefit the game overall by giving just a bit more purpose and progress to what you do in the game. I think generally, right now, especially with the lack of systems and features that will help promote the system, everything has felt very samey. There hasn't been many places to go, and the decisions we do make right now are still not nearly as important as they could be in the future. I think for the most part, this system isn't nearly as appealing to more casual players. Having a more decision based balancing system is making it where you have to think a little bit more critically about the things you do, and wrong decisions could lead you down a path that you don't want to go down. I understand why it isn't as appealing to casual players, but I think in order for Star Citizen to be a more unique game, they would want to make sure that those decisions that you make in the game feel very valuable and progressing towards your overall goals. I do think CIG has a ton on their plate when it comes to getting everything all balanced out in this game, just simply because of how many different items and ships and weapons all participate in different aspects of the game. I can't imagine getting that task done, but I do think if they can pull it off, it will be really impressive. When it comes to balancing issues in the current state of the game, I think these will just sort themselves out over time. Things like solo capital ships and whatnot, I think those are the things we're going to slowly start seeing less of once we get things like engineering. But once again, it's just a waiting game with this game. So I really, really hope that for once I can kind of say that we should see changes pretty soon. I don't really know, honestly, at this point, but let's just hope that CIG is solid about communicating with us about what their plans are and hopefully getting some of these really important features and systems out within the near future. This is where I'd love to invite you down to the comment section to agree with me or disagree with me. Whatever it is, I would love to hear it down below. I really am just thinking about this a lot, and I thought it'd be nice to make a little bit of a video of it. I am really excited for everything coming this year, but once again, with everything CIG related, it's just a waiting game. So hopefully, some of these really exciting things don't take as long to come out, but I am still looking forward to Star Citizen's future. Just wanted to get a little bit of a topic going as to the overall balancing of the game. Besides that, thank you so much for watching. I hope you have a wonderful day, and I will see you in the next video.